One of the biggest challenges by any artist is getting their product out there. Someone who knows all about that is Swiss singer-songwriter Bastian Baker, who got his career off to a strong start after being discovered by one of the most influential people in the global music industry. So Bastian, tell me, who actually discovered you and what happened after?
So I got discovered in 2010 at first by a businessman from around here, from around the Lausanne region. His name is Patrick Delarive, very well-known entrepreneur around here. And he discovered me as I was playing at his daughter's birthday party, because his daughter was a friend of mine, so we all ended up at their house. I was playing some songs, 2 in the morning, and he was just fascinated of how I could captivate the kids' attention by just playing guitar. And so he decided to help me a little bit with, connecting with some people from the music industry he knew, and also by funding the first song I was going to record. So that was the first time I got discovered. Then the song we recorded ended up very quickly on the radio, and so I started playing more and more shows, and that's when I got discovered for the second time, you could almost say, by Claude Nobs, who's the founder and member of Montreux Jazz Festival, the legendary and iconic festival we have in Montreux. And he discovered me as I was playing in a bar in Zermatt, and it was just one of those nights you'll never forget. I was playing on stage, or maybe 50 people in the bar, and all of a sudden someone came to me and they were like, "Hey, Claude Nobs is here and he wants to jam with you. Are you okay with that?" So he joined on stage, we played for 15 minutes, and then he took the mic and said those words I'll never forget. He said, "I have no idea who this young kid is, but what I know is he's going to play Montreux Jazz Festival next summer." And that's kind of how it all started. Then we played Montreux, and of course for the credibility, it's a great thing. And from this moment, it just started spreading.
So it was actually very important for you to be supported by someone like Claude Nobs with such a name.
Yeah, of course. Then Claude Nobs was known for bringing the new talents to the festival that were going to be the next superstars. Adele played Montreux Jazz Festival before she blew up, Paolo Nutini, and plenty of other acts. So he was known for having this thing where he would find an artist, and next thing you know is a couple of years later they'd be traveling the world playing music. And also he was just a great guy, he's such a passionate man, and his love for music was huge. And so I've had the chance to know him for a couple of years before he passed, unfortunately, and I only have great memories.
Actually, networking is very important in the music industry, as if you compare it with other businesses, it's the same thing.
Well, networking is kind of very important in any business, and that includes music for sure. And I've always loved it. I love it in its honest way. I'm never running after people or absolutely want to become friend with people because I know it would give me access to this or that. I'm always very honest in my friendships and why I meet and when I meet people, and I think that's a very important thing. But yeah, networking for sure. I love to be out. I love to meet people. I love to connect. I love to be more interested in the people than I am in me. That's the thing. You always ask questions. You should never feel like you're above someone or anything. That helps opening doors. So networking for me is one of the main things in the music industry for sure. Yeah.
Then you have another great big supporter, Shania Twain. You were just touring with her in the US, and you met her also in Montreux 2012, if I'm not mistaken. But how did it end up that you went on tour with her?
I know, it sounds crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I met her through Claude Nobs, so we were just talking about how important he was to me. And I think he also had this sense of, connecting people who he knew would match. And so Shania saw me playing a little performance in the garden at Claude's place. And then we had lunch. My dad was there, my whole family was there, and her family was there too. We connected. And then it just took a couple of years, we saw each other maybe every 6 or 8 months, so not that much, but she would show up at some festival I would play. We played this huge festival in Switzerland, and she showed up.
Really?
Undercover.
No way.
And just, watched the show from side stage. And then we just started talking more and more about music together. And every time I'd write songs and I'd see her, I'd play her the new songs, and she'd be like, "Yeah, I like that. I don't like that. This could be better." So really like a mentor. And when she started when she announced the world tour for the new album, who went #1 in U.S., Canada, U.K., and Australia, I think, a global #1. I just asked her. I was like, "Hey, you like my music? I like yours. You're a superstar all around the world. I'd love to be. Why don't you take me with you on tour? And you know, we'll have fun." And that's when the story becomes really unique. You know, nowadays there's so much business in the music that it's really rare to find at such a high level a story like this, because she basically told the managers and the booking agency, "Hey, it's going to be him," and that's very rare. That's actually pretty unique, I'd say.
Usually it's everything's set up, or it's the managers trying to find the talent, or...
Yeah, well, you know, managers have other artists, labels have other artists, and booking agencies have other artists. So there's plenty of other artists who they would have loved to put, you know, instead of me. And also it's Shania Twain. Everybody, at least in North America, wants to open for her. And so it was really surprising for a lot of people, and I think that caught people's attention, especially in North America. I'm super grateful that she is that kind of person, you know, to just be like, I mean, I don't want to talk in her name, but she just, you know, she's saying that she doesn't know anyone else right now who can stand on the stage of an arena and entertain the people with just a guitar.
And the moonlight overthrew you, and she tied you to her kitchen chair. She broke your throat and she cut your hair, and from your lips she drew the hallelujah.
Why didn't you take the band with you? Was it too expensive or too...
Yeah, there's both reasons. Obviously, it's very expensive to go on an opening band on 80 shows all around the world. It would have cost a fortune. And then also, you know, you have half an hour to show your songs and your personality. And I find I do that very well by myself. I enjoy going on stage by myself because I feel like if I go to a concert and I see someone show up on stage alone, I'll already pay more attention than if it was a band blasting it from the first second, at least in this kind of music genre. And the great thing, you know, about being on tour with her is, and as we're talking business, they're great friends, we play music, and they're also super sharp in business. Like, you know,
You mean Shania Twain?
Shania Twain and her husband, and you know, we are very interested in talking business, and
So you exchange.
We exchange a lot. Every time I have a great opportunity coming my way, I'll make sure I let them know about it, and they do the same. Because you know, you want your friends to also have access to the good opportunities you get. And I'm a lot into sharing. I don't need to be the richest. I'd like everybody around me to be same. So you know, it's very cool to share the business ideas with some friends like that.
Can you give any example? Like, what did you tell Shania Twain what she could do better when it comes to business? Like, what kind of tips do you give her?
I never told her any business tips. I'm not saying that I was here giving lessons, but for example, you know, there's some real estate in this area that I know about, and she doesn't, and so, you know, eventually we did invest in some stuff together.
Okay, so maybe we will have Shania Twain here as a neighbor.
Maybe.
You've been successful before. You're a star in Belgium, Switzerland, established already. But now you're entering this new stage.
That Monday night when the streets were cold and the lights were dead and you wanted to let go. I need to find a way to say I never meant to spin out of control. You're tired of staying up all night. Stop trying to find a way to get back home. You don't need to. Just stay. Stay before I fall down. Stay before I lose my head. Just stay. Stay until we're sober. Why don't you stay over? I want you to stay.
You're actually working on an international career?
Yeah, well, it's not that, yesterday I all of a sudden had the idea of like going international, like, oh, hey, there's other countries, let's go there. It's something we started right when we started the project, 8 years ago. That's when we started this, and at first it was going from the French-speaking part of Switzerland to the German-speaking part of Switzerland, which is not an easy thing to do. So that was already like exporting music for us, and we managed to do this. Nowadays I'm playing as many shows, even more shows in the Swiss-German part than I am in the French-speaking part, and I'm really grateful for that, because there's not many artists that can do that, so it's really awesome. And so then, it was Belgium, where we had a big song on the radio, and then I was a coach on The Voice in Belgium, and then I was France, where we did several TV shows and played some of the most iconic venues in Paris, like Olympia. And then we kept investigating, and we kept looking for opportunities, and that's also how we ended up playing in Asia a lot. We've played Japan a couple of times, South Korea, China. I was on this huge Chinese TV show last December. So yeah, we've always explored the international markets.
So you're actually really a businessman. You have your own enterprise. It's the brand Bastian Baker.
Yeah, well, I think as an artist, it's really, the thing for me is, since I was a teenager and I started playing music and started having this music project, everybody's heard about artists who had millions and all of a sudden have nothing left because they bought properties here, they had their whole family living on their back, this and that, or some managers or some labels who stole the money and stuff like that. And I kind of made a promise to myself that this was not going to happen to me. And so it was very important for me from the beginning to make sure that we knew everything was structured well, we knew where the money was coming from, and also after 2 or 3 years of just playing music and traveling around, I had a little bit of money on the side, and that's when it started beginning to be really interesting for me to invest in some stuff, and I'm lucky enough to have a few good people around me that help me advise, because I'm not a genius. I don't have all the knowledges you need to do that. And
what are you investing in?
Basically, we started with real estate. That was something I was always really interested in. Not because everybody tells you it's easy money. It's not, actually. But just because I thought it's a really interesting thing. And this area, this region is so beautiful that I was always really interested in, owning or be part of the first investments to make a project come to life.
So real estate, can you give us some examples? How is there any project that you're invested in? You mentioned that you talk with Shania Twain about it.
Yeah.
So who else are you talking with?
The guy that discovered me, Patrick Delarive, who's an entrepreneur here, is my one guy I trust in the business. And so yeah, it's various things, from I don't know how you call this in English, but yeah, like a promotion. Like when you'll give some of the money so that they can build the building, or buying an apartment.
So that's what you do?
That's what I do, yeah. Buying an apartment, then either rent it or sell it. So yeah, these things, I don't want to say very easy transactions, but it's just a few projects, and it's all based around here, so that we can keep a good control and a good quality level. And also it's always been very important for me to have 100% transparency in the business. I really am not into shady businesses. That as an artist, sometimes people approach you with some crazy stuff. But so I'm into transparency. I don't want to be into any kind of trouble because of my investments. So this is why I keep it very, very local, with just a handful of people I trust, including Patrick and Shania and her husband.
So in Switzerland only at the moment?
Yes, in Switzerland when it comes to real estate, and then some technology startups.
Okay. Can you mention one?
Yeah, of course. There's one, it's called BioWatch, and I started invested in BioWatch 2 years ago on the first rounds. It's a pretty amazing technology. It's basically, it's too technical for me to talk about it, but it's basically like a small chip in your watch that identifies you and then becomes your passport, your credit card, your key to your car, all centralized kind of, and it's all with the DNA, so it's safe. So this is on its way. It's been 2 years they're working on, and then it's the startup life. They're winning prizes, and then they're.
But why are you like, and as an artist, investing in that? Is it just like personal interest, or is it more you think you need a backup besides music?
It is personal interest, and it's also I have this chance. I'm not a materialistic person at all. I'm traveling all the time, so my needs are very little, and yeah, I just find it really interesting as an artist to be able to do all these different investments. And it's not that I do 200 every day, but yeah, I'll do like a good 6 or 7, maybe 8 sometimes transaction a year, because I want to also keep the focus on what I do, and so yeah, in the future I'll definitely do more when I got more time, but now I'm still very focused on the music side, and that is still my main source of income. So the rest is a fun part for me, and yeah, I love that. And there's actually, and it's funny because you seem very surprised talking to me that as an artist I do invest in things, and I have to say that for me it's a very interesting conversation I have with a lot of artists, not necessarily musicians, but also actors and stuff, who have millions and sit on it kind of. It's not necessarily something natural, and so there's been a few people in the industry that I've hooked up on like starting and investing.
Well, I'm just surprised also because of your age, maybe someone, a bit older or so would start thinking in investing in something. But, with your age, you could just be having fun and everything. But I guess you still
I am having fun.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I am having fun. No, I mean, I started investing when I was 22 or 23. In nowadays world, I don't think this is young. There's been, we've all heard about the crypto thing and those 16-year-old kids who became multimillionaires because they had bitcoins and stuff. I feel like there's a new generation that's very interested in business, and it's for the good, because if they're interested in business, they're going to want to try, find the new startup that's going to change the world for the good. And the more of this we have, the better it's going to be, basically. So I don't necessarily think it's an age thing. It might be I feel like the next generation is going to be like very into that, way more than we are.
You're actually, as we already mentioned, entrepreneur, your own CEO.
I am. I'm the president
of the brand Bastian Baker, and people are making a living from working for you. You're aware of that?
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I read about 40 people that work for you worldwide? Correct?
Yeah, well, work for me worldwide, about 40 people, but that includes a lot of people in the different labels, the different PR companies, the different managements. So it's not necessarily that they only live thanks to me. They, it's a very, it's a community, and so managers will have different artists, and so will label, and so will PR agencies. But I am a part of that, and then we have the main structure. The main team is in Switzerland, which is very convenient. It's all very central, and that's just 3 people working 100% full time with me.
Let's talk about the business model of a successful musician as you are, because nowadays you don't really earn money by selling albums, right?
That's a fact. The album thing is it's done, basically. I think it's over.
Because of all those streaming apps, like
all the streaming,
Spotify, Tinder.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you don't make any money on the album unless you're one of the top. Like if you're Adele, you'll still make money on the record. But if you're everybody else, it's gonna be hard.
So how do you do money? Like just with the music?
Well, I think it's a secret for no one. I think live music obviously represents the major part of our income. I think in my case it's about 50 to 60% of our yearly income. And that's also why, as a Swiss artist, it's very important to go international, because I mean it's great to play in Switzerland because what a platform it is. There's over 300 festivals in the summer in Switzerland, and so many music venues and stuff. But there's only 8 million of people. You can't play every second day somewhere, and people are going to get bored. So yeah, concerts for sure, and then you have sponsoring. That for a long time in Switzerland, for example, was a bit of a taboo thing.
Was it? Why?
Yeah, well, do you remember like a lot of commercials including artists over the last 15 years?
I don't recall.
Well, because there basically weren't really any.
Yeah.
When we started doing that, like in the industry, it was kind of a new thing and weird thing. People were like, "Oh yeah, he's like going commercial," or like, "Yeah, he's like soulless, sold to the devil," and stuff like that. Because it wasn't really a thing. Not like it could be in the U.S. where it's actually pretty cool if you're part of a commercial.
Yeah, I mean, you have quite high-end brands that you work with. Omega, one of your partners.
Yeah.
Then what was it? Audi.
I have Audi. I work together with Hugo Boss,
Davidson.
with a couple.
With this
different-
hotel we're staying
with
at, the
this
Royal
hotel
Savoy.
we're staying at, with another hotel in Zurich, the Wieder Hotel. I work together with Cardinal Feldschlösschen, so beer company. I always make sure I select the brands I work with based on their work ethics, based on their image, and based on if I think they fit the project. And you know, if we have a common project, it's even better. Like with the beers, you know, with Cardinal, I wrote a song for the commercial and then appeared in the commercial. And today this song is like the third most like trendy song on my Spotify. So you know, it's like something happened because of that partnership we had.
So those sponsorships are quite important for you.
Sponsorship is very important. My main one is with Omega. I've been working with Omega now for 4 years, and I love everything about the brand and the people. I mean, it's just it's ridiculous how much fun we have in this partnership. It never feels like working. I don't feel like I'm like being the whatever you want to call it.
But I didn't see you wearing the watch in your latest music video, Stay. What does it mean to be partner? So you don't have to wear it all the time, you know, like athletes that have all their gear with all the logos.
Well, it depends, you know. I wear it most of the time, like probably, well, in my free time, in my private time, every award show, every concert, you'll see me wearing a Omega. But then sometimes you have this thing where for creative reasons, you can't be wearing it. And that's the only reason, that's the only time. Because sometimes for creative reasons it's too obvious, or it doesn't fit, you know, it doesn't match with your outfit, or it doesn't match with the vibe of the video clip you wanna do. You know, so working with Audi, for example, you know, sometimes we want a old school car in a commercial, and so you're going for another brand or something like that.
So what do they give you, and what is their return of investment? I mean, is it Audi just a free car, or are you getting paid as well?
So they're all different deals. Some of the deals I get paid, and I have to be at an event twice a year. I have to post on the social media, have to wear or drive, and yes, some of the deals are just it's like a, how do you say this in English? I don't know, but like for example, Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson doesn't pay people to ride their bikes because they're like Harley Davidson. So they're like cool anyway. And I love Harley Davidson. So we just, you know, I call them and like, hey, I want to get a Harley. And they're like, hey, maybe we can find an arrangement. And it's a very spontaneous kind of like bike riders deal.
So you just came back from the US. I'm sure you had an insight into the entertainment business in the United States. What did you learn from there?
The entertainment business in the USA is very impressive. It's a huge machine, and I've had the chance to see some of it, to go to Billboard, iHeart, SiriusXM, Young Hollywood. And what I like about it is they are extremely professional. Not saying that everywhere else is terrible, but still, they are the best at this. You know, it's like you get somewhere for a photo shoot, and the photographer was here the day before and tested the lights and the place with someone that was acting like he's you, and he's actually your height and your profile. And then they have, you know, different options they've already thought about. They have a concept. The content is usually good and fun and dynamic. So I've had a lot of great experiences, especially I remember my time at iHeartRadio. Those guys were really funny. They came up with a concept around Shania Twain because I was on tour with her. So yeah, it's very impressive, very, very impressive, and I loved to be part of it. And and I'm happy I listened in class when the teacher was teaching us English.
Great. Bastian Baker, thank you so much.
Thank you.